Broken Beanie in the AskReddit subreddit says, when is the first time you remember feeling like an adult? When I got mad that they rearranged the grocery store.
When I was buying my own groceries and had survived for 2 weeks on my own. I figured I must be doing it right since I wasn't feeling hungry or diminished.
Honestly, the first time I bought a car without mentioning it ahead of time to my parents. I was 27 or 28, married, no kids, though, and it was at that point that I realized I didn't really run this past anyone. HMM. All of the college loans without a cosigner, my careers, firefighter, paramedic and nurse, my marriage, vacations, etc., all the stuff I did as an adult, and it took a $32,000 purchase to really feel like an adult. The first time I didn't have to ask for permission to go out. In college, I was with some friends at a party and one of them fell and busted his face so badly, he started bleeding badly. I went looking for someone to do something when I realized I was the only sober one there. Not a fun night or feeling.
I wanted to buy a box of fruit roll-ups, but was feeling weird about it because as a kid we were not allowed to get it. It was too expensive and parents didn't want to buy it. At some point while I was thinking about putting it down, it dawned on me that I was a grown-ass man with my own income. I bought like 20 boxes.
Starting my first full-time 9-to-5 job.
When I was shopping and a man said to their kid, "Watch the lady," so that they would budge.
When I made my Christmas wish list and thought to myself, I could use some socks.
I work with children with special needs. There was a time that a decision needed to be made about a child's school placement, and everyone in the room was waiting for my opinion, including parents. That was a really weird feeling, and the first time I realized I was an adult in other people's eyes. The first time I felt properly old was when I had a manager who was younger than me, now had a couple. Having to sort out some problems with my father's mental health was also a weird experience. That definitely made me realize that I'm not a child anymore. But honestly, I still feel like a child despite being 40 and balding.
I woke up, opened the curtains and looked outside at a beautiful sunny day. I thought to myself, it's a great day to hang the washing out. Then I instantly thought, geez, I'm getting old.
When I stopped going to bars and clubs. I was at some club that a friend was doing some promo work for, and I didn't want to go. It was 11 p.m. on a Friday, and I had to find parking, and then the club was not doing well. That night, I just saw a few people on the floor. I got hit on by someone that had more red flags than a Mao Zedong rally, sitting on a half chair, half barstool, cutting off circulation to my swollen feet and ankles. Plus, I couldn't hear anyone worth shit, and the mere thought of drinking midway through it went from, this is what you do to have fun, to, I shouldn't be drinking to force fun. Shit ain't fun, period. What a crock. And suddenly, I realized there was no FOMO, fear of missing out here. I used to attend so many things because of FOMO. First weekend I spent in my apartment alone with no reason but not working. I did nothing. Nothing at all. I planned nothing. Before this epiphany, I would have seen this as a huge warning flag. My life was the express headed to Losertown, but suddenly, I didn't give a shit. And I felt like this immense release. I never understood why my dad did nothing on the weekends growing up, and suddenly, I got it. Life has been so much better ever since. I felt like I stopped trying to be the rebellion of youth, and a responsible adult for a change.
When I realized nobody can stop me from buying a jar of Nutella and then just eat it with a spoon. Obviously not the entire thing in one sitting, but something about being able to do almost anything with no universe pop-up being like, you sure dude, asterisk, made me feel like an adult.
Just after turning 16, Mom was already in parts unknown for a few years and my dad left us for work in another state. I became legally emancipated by the state of New York.
I filed for welfare
to help pay my rent and received food stamps. Still, had to work to cover the other half of bills. All while finishing my last 2.5 years of high school. I believe that's when I felt all adulty.
I remember feeling excited when I receive envelopes in our mailbox that was addressed to me when I was a kid. It meant that my people remembered me to send good kinds of things. As an adult, a mail from a fellow adult or an institution does not constitute the same feeling of anticipation but was rather replaced with stress or dread, knowing that most of those envelopes contain something that requires you to be an adult to deal with bills, commitments, your taxes, insurances, retirements, documentation, the really fun stuff also, the things you take for granted when you are a kid, time for naps or partying, clean house, freshly cooked meals, seemingly unlimited utility, no rent, divided up chores and being unbothered with life's responsibilities. You instantly realize that those above don't magically do themselves and life was easier because of parents and or siblings. Once you move out, you do those things all on your own.
A long time ago my child, about 1 at the time, could not sleep and he wanted to sit with me and a visiting friend and I said something like, "So you want to sit with the grown-up people?" and it hit me. I was the grown-up people. I was in my late 20s at the time. The milestones of living on my own, marriage and such were long past then, but with my own child it really hit me. Adult. Responsible. Grown up.
I was 21 and I had been going out with friends for a while, but I was routinely back by 10 to 11 p.m. One night we decided to hit some clubs not too far from us. I didn't realize how late it was and next thing we knew it was 1 a.m. We all panicked and went home. After dropping everyone else off I got home around 3 a.m. My dad was getting up to get ready for work. I expected him to get mad at me. He asked, "Do you know what time it is?" "Yeah, 3, sorry for coming home so late." He shook his head and rolled his eyes and continued to get ready for work. I went to bed. The next day neither of my parents were mad at me, just asked that I let them know if I expected to be home very late, and it was the time before cell phones.
It's been fairly recently. I always felt like a kid, even for those few short years that I've been an adult. I was at work, passing by a mirror. I glanced at it, and walked back to it, because I had dandruffs on my shoulders, and wanted to see if I brushed them off properly. As I finished brushing them off, I noticed that some of them got stuck in my beard. I took a closer look at my beard, and there it was, my face. And the realization hit me like a brick covered in lemon juice. There are a lot of gray hairs in my beard now. My hair used to be always short, and now it grew all the way to my shoulders in what seems to be like a month. I have circles under my eyes. I am currently trying to go from a part-timer to a full-time employee. I am not the youngest employee in my work anymore. In fact, I helped to train a few part-timers myself. I help my mom pay bills. My sister had moved away a few years ago. I am not as interested in video games as I used to be. I lack energy most days. My body hurts a lot more than it used to. My nicotine and alcohol consumption is out of control, nicotine pouches, vape, snorting tobacco. Some friends from primary and secondary school became bald. And I'm only 22. I was so afraid of becoming an adult, and here it is. I feel no different, and yet, I am scared and lost. Time is getting faster. A few years ago, a year seemed like an eternity. I'd wait for my birthday, Halloween, Christmas, and it'd take too long. Now it all seems to just fly right past me in the blink of an eye. Years are shorter, months are becoming weeks, days are starting to melt together into the same routine separated only by a brief sleep. I am losing connections to my old friends. It's weird.
The day I paid my taxes online. I know I overpaid, but getting it out of the way and doing it by myself felt good. I was an adult now. I have full goddamn credence to complain about the government.
Going out to a bar and ordering a drink. I was probably 16. I didn't even know what to order. I just said scotch and soda because that's what Holden Caulfield ordered, and that's what popped into my head. When the waiter asked me what scotch, I said Johnny Walker Black because I saw it on my dad's shelf at home. I wouldn't say J.W. Black is the best beginner scotch, but damn it, that was my drink for years.
One day it somehow was way too exciting when I went to a shop and found some really nice kitchenware that's also easy to clean. That's when I knew.
Growing up, our apartment caught fire. I remember running in and out of it, wearing just shorts, no time to put on clothes, because I knew we didn't have insurance and I had to get as much stuff out of it as possible so we didn't lose it. I remember running into my bedroom which was on fire to carry out my computer. Looking back, that moment where I realized I risked my life and/or injury to avoid financial problems, was the day I think I really understood how the adult world works.
I was broke and homeless and walking down the street and realized it was all up to me, and only me, to get out of that situation.
My best friend's partner died abruptly one morning and under her eyes, and she called me, and I had to sort myself out and step up for her. In that moment I thought, well, we're not kids anymore, and it's not a my crush ignored me healed kind of teenage emergency. Now you're an adult dealing with adult shit. I helped her the best I can, and I hope it made a difference for her at this hard time.
On my 20th birthday I got off late from the bar I worked at, got home at around 2 to 3 a.m. I hadn't seen my family that day, so when I got home I had a present or two on the counter and my cake. I ate a piece of cake alone and went to bed. I understand now how privileged that comes across, but it was very different than what I was used to, and it definitely felt like I would never be a kid again.
You know that drawer that has everything: shoelaces, batteries, twist ties, spare cords, extra hardware from projects, bottle opener, deco cards, bobby pin. Yes, that drawer. When I moved out and realized I needed to make my own junk drawer was when it hit pretty hard.
Truly felt like an adult? When I brought my son home from the hospital. I was 26, everything up until the felt like small potatoes adulthood.
When I got excited about buying a couch. It was decent, not like super expensive leather, but nice looking. I feel the same way still, nearly 20 years later, whenever I buy stuff like that. I bought a washer and dryer set a few years ago and remember commenting to a friend that it still feels weird doing these adult things and still looking forward to them.
When I stopped being afraid of my father hitting me, and he started being afraid of me hitting him, I was 14.
I knew I was an adult the day the judge said, "We're trying you as an adult."
Honestly, I still don't. I am almost 40, but if I woke up tomorrow and it turned out I was still 20 somehow, I wouldn't even be surprised. I kinda feel like I'm just faking this whole adult thing and have somehow miraculously not died yet.
The first time I was allowed to watch an age-restricted film 13, but was not the type of film that suited the age restriction. When I got caught by my mother watching it, I slapped that age restriction in her face, menacingly in a "in your freaking face" way, and proceeded to lay down on the sofa, eat some popcorn, increase the volume and carry on watching that one indulging scene.
For me, it was after I picked up the keys to my own place and just sat in an empty flat on my own for a while. My partner who was moving in with me was in work and I went to check on the place and I just sat on the carpets making phone calls to set up bills and stuff. That's when it hit me. I rarely ever feel like an adult, but there have been moments, signing papers on my house, holding my daughter for the first time, listing myself as an emergency contact on her school papers, opening a college savings account for her.
When I started getting up and ready for work in the morning thinking, I hate my life.